maybe some things that will prolong your life. Hi, friends, it's Adam, the crippled cannabis cowboy. Thanks for watching my video. I'm here just to help point direction for people that are messed up like me. So if you like it, subscribe to the channel, help a brother out, and watch some more of my rambling videos. As someone who developed this progressive, primary progressive multiple sclerosis, it's been quite a nightmare. And how did I prolong my life? I mean, it's not like on purpose. I'm just someone that likes to be challenged, and I'll take a challenge if I see a challenge. And with the therapies, there's a few different avenues. There's the going to therapy, then there's the home care therapy, then there's the classes. I've had a lot of them. I've had several. Actually, I love all of my therapists. That's another thing too. You gotta like the therapist. You gotta connect with them. There's gotta be like chemistry. That helps out a bit. I remember I started going to therapy sessions. It was a couple years ago, I think. I would go to speech therapy, occupational therapy, physical therapy. They all had their own person in charge, of course. The most challenging, obviously, was the physical therapy. The funnest one I ever did was speech therapy. They have a lot of these cool things on a tablet you can do, a lot of the way the brain works. It's not like I thought. Speech therapy, it actually doesn't have, I mean, it has something to do with speech, but that's a very little part of it. It's got to do with like using your brain, the way your throat works, the way you accept information, and you get a lot of handy tools from that. Then there's the home care therapies. And in my case, I learned in time that it got too dangerous for my therapist to see me. They saw me first, I think, when I was in a walker, I think it was. But after that became tough, no one wants a liability going around their establishment, and there was a big probability that I could fall and break my freaking face on the floor. So I would go to, it was basically one different therapy a week. I would have physical therapy, I'd have occupational therapy, and I would have speech therapy. Sometimes twice a week. They would condense them all as best as they could, so I went and saw all the therapists in 1 week. But sometimes there were two physical therapies a week, two occupational therapies a week, even speech twice a week. Then I got to the point where I can't really move, and I'm sure this happens to other people too, where it all comes from the doctor. The doctor's got to say it's cool. I started getting this home care thing where a physical therapist came to see me. Same thing with all therapists, speech, occupation, whatever. Of those, man, there's some. Actually, all my therapists were awesome. I love them all. It's not like we chat. It's just I have chosen to be honest every time they come in. So, because they got to go through a series of questions, and I chose to answer them honestly. One of them is like, hey, have you fallen? And if you did fall, what happened? What happened to you this week? That type of stuff. They'll run like a cycle. I'm not exactly sure. I think a cycle is around 3 months. I'm not sure, but they would come every week here to my house. And of that, there was, a blood test. So I think someone came from Quest Labs, came and took my blood here. Same thing with urine samples. Same thing with all kinds of stuff. As someone comes to me, I guess labs can be done. Uh, if you're unable to move, labs can be done. That's like your blood work and everything that's going on in your body. They could send someone to your house to do your labs after you finish a cycle. They can, reinstate you or decide to continue. There is something that, like, if a doctor says that you need home therapy, it comes down to going through a cycle. When you go through a cycle, there is a limit. You fall into this maintenance type program, and I just got to say that all that stuff prolonged my life. That is the only reason why I'm here. Well, one of them is being able to get into a hobby. I love growing cannabis plants. That's my thing. I love my dog and giving them lovins. That's another one of my things. Having these therapies that I used to go to, and then having the therapies come here and see me, I gotta say that prolonged my life. Now that they're all done, that's a toughie. I gotta find my own inspiration inside myself to continue to do these things. It was cool going to all those classes. I've been to stress management classes, several of them. I've been to CBT classes. I think that's cranial behavioral therapy. I think that's what it means. I'm not sure. But I learned a lot about how the human mind works. And it helped me. Yeah, it's like there's no like physical help or whatever, but it helps me think about the way my brain works, the way I accept information, the way it's cranial behavioral therapy. So it's got a lot to do with how I was behaving. And I noticed there's big changes in a person's regular behavior. Then after they get a certain kind of news, how their behavior is from that. Is that behavior helping them? Is it hindering them? There's a lot of things that I learned about the human brain. Actually, I learned more about the human brain going to all these classes than I did with therapists. Therapists help me, but they don't explore the areas of how the mind works. I happen to be fascinated with that kind of stuff, so I would go to these classes. I can't go to these classes anymore because, I'll fall and bust my ass. Basically, what I'm saying is involve yourself. Get involved in these therapies and these classes. If you're like me and, you're going downhill fast, it's good to engage these things. It helps your brain keep working. It helps, physical therapy helps your muscles. Now, granted, it's very, very challenging because there are some days where they would come and they'd be like, yeah, you can't do much today, or, maybe you could do something today. And it had a lot to do with my own attitude. Am I willing to push myself? I remember there was a physical therapist I had come in here. He was awesome. His name's Mike. And I remember one of the first time, I had him several times, so it goes back to the first one, having conversations. He called me a self-motivator. And I think that's important. You should be a self-motivator because if you're like this, you're going to have to motivate yourself. Thanks for watching my video. Adam the Crippled Cannabis Cowboy, and I will continue to give this information as long as I can, man.